Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Diminishing Returns. Now, yesterday was actually the Christmas party with my colleagues. It just happened to be because of when people are out, etc., that we actually ended up having it in November as opposed to December. So rather than really talking about today's thumbnail, I'm actually going to say I'm probably going to demonstrate that title fairly well as I attempt to solve it in a few minutes. And I'm actually doing this on the morning of the recording, so it's 5 a.m. here. Hopefully I will get this out in the next half an hour so it does go out on time. But fingers crossed, we're going to be doing okay. Now, today's puzzle from FullDeck and Missing a Few Cards was recently published, and I can see it doesn't have that many solves, the usual 90% plus rating from these fantastic duo. So I am looking forward to it, and I'm hoping it will be a nice wake-up call for today. But I admit I'm a little bit intimidated and wondering if I'm going to be able to solve it today. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule sets. So, diminishing returns, full deck and missing a few cards, and the following set of rules. Not too many. Standard Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. Nothing unusual here. Arrows. Digits along the shaft of an arrow sum to the value in the attached circle. So if these two cells, for example, are, 1 and 2, then these two cells are summing up to 3, which is what I would need to add inside the circle attached to that arrow. Simple. And that would be the same for all of them. Whatever these three cells add up to, it will be whatever that value is. Then we've got consecutive pairs. So digits separated by a white dot are consecutive, and not all possible dots are given. I'm trying to find an example in here, such as this cell. If this is a 2, this would have to be 1 or 3 so that it is indeed consecutive with the 2. And without a negative constraint, for example, having that as a 2 next to the 3, clearly there would be a white dot because they are consecutive. The absence of it doesn't prevent it. So a fairly straightforward set of rules. There's clearly some kind of diminishing return here. You can see with the way that some of these are constructed. But before I give the game away, as always, you know what to do. Link will be in the description down below for you to play. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight, so it's highlighted all of this, the arrow sum circles that's got arrows that are 3 cells long. And I know that these circles can only be from 6, 7, 8, or 9. Because essentially, since the minimum these arrows could be are 1, 2, and 3, they're always in the same row or column, so they are unique digits. 1, 2, 3 gives me a 6. Now that's immediately a challenge, fairly obviously in here and in there, where the biggest you can fit on a 3-cell arrow that adds up to a single cell value is a 6 with 1 and 2 in here. So essentially that's kind of like my degree of freedom, is that this is 5 or 6, this is 1, 2, or 3, and these two cells are consecutive. So to get to 5 or 6, it can't be 8 or 9. And what I just said would apply for this cell as well, where this is 5 or 6, this is not 8 or 9, these are 1, 2, and 3, and we end up with a 1, 2, 3 triple. And we'll see where it takes us from there. One other thing is, at this point, because there's a degree of freedom, so essentially the minimum I can do would be 1, 2, and 5. That gets me to 8, not 6 or 7, so I can actually reduce these somewhat. I can even do better. To get to 6 or 7, this is 1, 2, 3, can't be all 4. So essentially it's either 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 3, depending on which sum I'm trying to get to. Same is true in here. Am I just struggling to see? That's what I wanted to do. There's definitely a 6 in here. It's either 7, 6 or 6, 5. So let's do that. There's definitely a 6 in here. That's not a 9, otherwise this would be an 8 and would break this cell. So the 9 is in one of these two cells. This feels very restricted. So, I did kind of mention that diminishing return title seems very apt, at least for this chain of arrow sums. Now, at an absolute minimum, 1 and 2 in here gives me a 3. So this definitely cannot be a 1. And then one of these cells would have to be the 1. There has to be a 1 along this arrow, as does the 2, in fact. Now, if I do 1, 2, then 3, that's clearly not 3, that would be 4. The other possibility, if I do 1 and 3, that would be 4, but I can't get 5. And I can't go down to 3 because I've used it. Sorry, let me just add in all of the possibilities again. I think fairly obvious why this is not a 1. I think fairly obvious why this is not a 2, because how can I come up, even if this is a 3, as in bigger than the 2, because clearly it can't be any less, how can I add up a sum that is not 1 and 2 and eliminates the 2 from in here? So 2 is off the table. That gives me a 3-4 pair. I can't use the 3 on the arrow. This has to be 1 and 2. This is 3. This is 4. And we have our break, and this is 1, 2. This would have to be 7, 6. That's used my degree of freedom. So this is not anything other than 1, 2, and 6 to get to 9. One of these has to be the 3, because I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple, if you remember, in column 2. So that's still a 9, because essentially it's a 1, 3 pair. Maybe, sorry, I probably did that a bit too quickly. No 3 in this cell. 3 has to be in here. If it's only 2 and 3, that's already 5 and 5, that's 10. That's not going to work. I need a 1. That makes this 2. That makes this 1. 1 and 3 is already at 4. That means that's got to be 5. That's got to be 6 to allow me to actually get to a single digit sum over here. Now, that can't be 2 because 2 is the one that's actually connecting these cells. So there's a 2 in here. That's what I meant to say is that can't be a 2. One of these cells has to be a 2 to join up with the 1 or 3. And we very much have our break-in, but I kind of follow this next kind of mini chain of this. May as well. So minimum now, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Minimum here is 4. And if I don't use the 4, the next one along is like 7. That's going to be quite big. I am going to give the 4 a go first, because given this chain, I imagine that 7 will break very quickly. So 7 and 1 will give me 8. And then the consecutive value, even, like that's already at 9 because the 7 is not available. If I make this 2, I'm already at 9. So yeah, that's definitely a 4. Let's just not pretend. Which also means if I minimize this, that's 1, that's 5, that's 6 because 4 is not available. And then this would be, 7, 8, 9. Feels about right. Now, what is the maximum these can be? I think that's a better question. If I make this 3, because I can't make it 5, that would be 9, then I'm in trouble. Am I? No. I can do that. 9, 8, 1. It actually works, but this can't be 9. This has to be, since it's got 2 consecutive neighbors, if I put 9 in here, how am I going to have a double 8 in the column? So that is not 9. That has to be 8 or less. Right. So what did I get from here? It's not 5, not 4. It has to be 1, 2, or 3. Which gets me to 5, 6, or 7. Now, clearly this is not 4. So this is from 5, 6, or 7. Not 8, for the reason we discussed earlier, because 8 with a 1 would get me 9. So essentially that's another 5, 6, 7. The definite 6, obviously you need an odd and an even to be consecutive, so one of them is 6. And because we don't want to get beyond 8 in here, essentially I'm going to put 6, 7, 8 as the possibility. Now I'm sure we can tidy this up a bit, but so far I think I've included all of the possibilities on here. Now with the 3 and the 4, this is no more than 1 or 2. And we clearly need to think about it a bit more. 1, 2 in here gives me another 1, 2, 3. So that's a 1, 2, 3 triple in there. One of these cells has to be a 2. That's not a 2. So we can probably whittle this down fairly quickly. Let's try 3, because that feels like a more extreme possibility here. So 7 and 6, not 3. And not 2, that would be the 1. That would be the 2. That would be the 8. That can't be 7, that would be 9, that would be 7. There you go, it's broken. Interesting. I'm just going to rewind this. I think the fact that neither of them could be 7, if this is 7, is quite interesting. That's a good way of eliminating it. Essentially, if this is 7, we would want this to be 7, because 6 or 8 would have kind of 7s as neighbors. Can I make that work? It would require a 1 in here, it would require a 3 in here, it would require a 2 in here, and then a 1 in there. That's entirely possible. Don't know why I didn't see that. So 3 is on the table. The only thing I wanted to remove was the 2 in here, but this could have always been a 2. For the sake of argument, I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 in here. No 6. I mean, there's no 6 in here anyway. Maybe this is the easier cell, because essentially it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 9. This is 7 or 8. Given this can't be 9, this is 6, 7, or 8. Then there's a definite 7 between these two. So you see, the fact that 6 and 7 are here is kind of restrictive. So if it's 6, this is 5, this is 7. That looks achievable. If this is 7, well, that would have to be the 8. And this would have to be the 6. And if this is 8, that's 9, that's 7 again. Kind of wondering if I'm better off, given I'm clearly not thinking at my best right now. Coming back to it, one thing that I can do is say, well, where is the 9 in column 6? That's maybe the easiest way of doing this. No 9, no 9. 9 can't be on an arrow that leads to, a single cell sum with more cells to be added. Only place for a 9 is in here. Yeah, this is forced, which really does help. So that can't be 3, that can't be 5. This is 1 or 2, this is 1 or 2 or 3. So all of that is still solid. And this is 6 or 7. Now, and because this is not 7, that can't be 3, that's 1, that's 5, that's 6, that's 2, that's 3, that's 2, that's 1, and we're done here. Much better. Don't know what I was doing earlier, let's just not revisit that. May as well do some easy Sudoku whilst I'm here. And that's the end of the easy Sudoku. So no 9s, no 9s, still too many options for 9s, still too many options for 9s. I'm not going to investigate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 7, 9. This is the 8. That's the 8. That can't be 9, so that's 7. Excellent. Yeah, it's just two easy things. Delicate morning. Not a 6. See? Now with this 1 and 3, so this can't be 2, 3, 4. Essentially a 3-cell arrow that adds up to single digit value. First question is, does it have to have a 1? And if it doesn't have a 1, it's 2, 3, 4 to add up to 9. It would not break this cell, so it's actually still possible. Ignore what I was about to say. No 6. Definitely a 6 in here. And then because it's consecutive and 7 is not available, this is a 5, 6 pair. This would have to be 3 or 4 because it's not 1 or 2. And because this is consecutive, this can't be 4 because the consecutive pair would be a 3 and this would break this cell. So essentially there's a 2 now to join these two, which forces this to be a 1, forces this to be a 2. That's the only one that can be 4 safely. And this is a 2, 3 pair. 2, 3 pair, technically I can still place 1 and 4 in here with 5 and 6. And then 1 and 2, and then a 9, a 3. All of that seems to work. I clearly made a typo on here. I meant to say 8, not 9. So let's have a think around. 3 is not here. That's a 3. This is 5, 8. These 3 cells, we know what they are. They are 5, 7, and 8. That's a 9. These 3, we also know what they are. They are 3, 5, and 8. Not 3 or 5, that's the 8. 4, 7, and 6. Not 6, not 7. And yeah, let's leave Sudoku aside for a second. Now that this is 5 or 6, there has to be a 1 in here. If I don't have a 1, it's just going to break. So that's got to be the 1, if I can type. And then with a 5 and a 2, this is at least an 8. So that's not 7. Because this is the 1, that's the 3, that's the 1. And because this can't be a 3, which is the only way to have a 5, 1, 3, and 9, that's got to be a 2. That's got to be, well, it's 5 or 6 still because this is still 8 or 9. That 4 tells me that this is 5, and that this is not 5. In fact, this is not 5 either, that's 5. 7, 8 are not resolved yet. This is 7, 8, or 9. In fact, it's just a 7, 8 because of this 9. So where's 9 in column 9? It's in here, that gives me 6, 5. This is not 2, 3. This is 1, 4. Another way to spot not 2, 3. 1 in here would make 2, 4 in here would make 3, which is not available. No, there is the 5. That's 1, that's 4, that's 2. And we're getting there. So I think normally I tend to go for more exotic deductions, and what I've decided to do today is to focus instead on a nice simple Sudoku that will get me there. So no 9s in column 7 because of this 9. And in fact that 9 gives me 7 and 9. That 7 gives me 8 and 7. I say, I'm doing Sudoku. I appreciate badly. That's got to be the 3. That's got to be the 4. I need 6 and 7. That's not 7, that's 6, that's 7. That is 6. I need a 4 somewhere, not obvious. 1, 2, 3. I need no 9s. That's 9. No, hang on. I've already got my 9. So this is 4, 5, and 8. Not 4 or 5, that's the 8. That's the best I can do right now. There's a 9 somewhere in these 2 cells, plus a 2. That's a 2 and a 9. I need 7 and 8. That's the 7, that's the 8. That's the 8 and 5. Have I got anything else in here? Not 6, 4, 7, 6. Don't think the 3 or 5 are resolved, and that's all the pencil marks done at the moment. Right, I need a 4 and a 5. The 5 is here. This is just known. 6, 4 and 9 by the looks of things, resolved. So another 3, 4, 5. No, it's not 5. Another 3, 4, 5 plus a 9. Interesting. So this is 4 or 9 again. It's not 3 or 5. And this is 3 or 4 and a 9. Okay. In here I need a 7, which I can just write in, plus whatever this is, which is 4, 9, 4, 9, 3. I need 1 somewhere, 2, 2. And that 4 actually resolved the 5 and the 4 and the 5 and the 3. Not the smoothest of solves, but let's see how you do after a Christmas party. Regardless, fantastic puzzle, as expected, really, from FullDeck and missing a few cards. And yeah, we'll call it the diminishing returns was very much the key to help you move forward, even if I went around solving them a bit clumsily. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle, maybe the video, and I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.